Outdoor Adventures.
Hey guys, it's Chuke here from Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Well, I've really enjoyed this Friday segment of bear attacks and bear defense and stories from Alaska to Wyoming and everywhere in between. And we've seen a lot of bear attacks. Thankfully, this week I didn't see a new grizzly bear attack, but I really want to thank all the viewers who are logging into my website and sending me messages. So Chris Carletti sent me a couple messages about what's going on in Connecticut with these black bear attacks, and he sent me 2 different articles and just made some comments on what's going on. First of all, it's nice to see some media that's not just painting the picture that this kind of liberal narrative paints where, you know, we need to leave the bears alone. It's all right if they chew on us. You don't need firearms. You just need bear spray. We'll get into that. But this first article, I didn't realize there's so many conflicts with bears in Connecticut. Now, I lived in Western New York, so I don't like to dog these eastern states, you know, even though it was a blue state. I lived in a county where it was full of hunting and fishing, and people did not care for the progressive outlook that the big state had, and that just came from New York City. So I get it. So the frustration in Connecticut, you know, a lot of people are frustrated. So this article was entitled "Deep: Connecticut Has Far More Bear Conflicts Than Neighboring States." I had no idea. So conflicts between black bears and Connecticut residents far outpacing neighboring states with larger bear populations. That's interesting. According to a new report by Department of Energy Environmental Protection, DEEP, which noted a steadily increasing population of range of bears in Connecticut. So in the State of the Bears report for Connecticut had more than 3,000 human bear conflicts in 2024, far outpacing Massachusetts, 645 reported conflicts, New York's 1,194 conflicts, and even West Virginia's 1,227 conflicts. That is surprising. It notes that Massachusetts had twice the number of black bears. So that is something I noticed when I was living in up there in Western New York. They call everything above the city upstate, but it's not really upstate. Is we were starting to see a lot of black bears on the trail cams, and the population is really booming in the east. So it does state, although most of these conflicts involve bird feeders and trash, they also include 2 attacks on humans and 67 incidents of bears breaking into homes in Connecticut in 2024. So that's just last year. 67 times bears broke into homes. More than triple the amount from 2019 and vastly outnumbering the number of home break-ins in other states. While home bear entries occur throughout the species' extensive range in the Northeast, these events are far more common in Connecticut. Scaled for each state's estimated bear population size, Connecticut's home entries far exceed those of neighboring states. And the number of serious conflicts involving bears is also rising. So the number of towns reporting bear conflicts have increased. A lot of them were knocking over trash cans, but in July of 2024, a bear was euthanized by DEEP after it bit a woman in Cheshire, causing only minor injuries. A man in Canton claimed he shot a large black bear in self-defense. I think that's the one we're going to talk about. So DEEP is focusing on public education, but towards the end of the article, I was really surprised because, you know, the legislators were involved, the commissioner, and usually, you know, they're like, well, we don't need to hunt bears or shoot bears. But in this article, it ends with, because Connecticut does not have a bear hunt, DEEP has invested heavily in public education and outreach focusing on reducing bear-human conflicts, Dykes wrote. Despite these efforts, the conflicts continue to increase, demonstrating that non-lethal methods are not sufficient tactics to successfully reduce human-bear conflicts. I don't know if this person is a progressive liberal or not, but they just admitted that non-lethal, it just isn't enough. And that's what I've been saying this whole time. Get yourself a 10 millimeter a 460 Roland, a 44 Magnum, because non-lethal just isn't enough. Now, going back to Connecticut, Chris Carletti was very frustrated. He was messaging some legislators and officials. So this is the story about the Connecticut father who was arrested for protecting his children. Now, this has happened, and Connecticut officials refuse to discuss the case when they're asked about it, and they have even stonewalled Republican state senators. Just unbelievable. So this article goes on to say, and I'll throw the article up here, state legislators in Connecticut are demanding an explanation after a local father said he had been arrested and charged with killing a bear in self-defense. Todd Topkis, 39, of Bethlehem in Litchfield County, told local broadcaster WFSB earlier this month that he believed he had to act when a black bear entered his garage, raided his trash, came within feet of his 2 children, and was then chased up a tree by his dog. A public statement from Deep regarding this public safety matter would help resolve confusion and enable us to better communicate with our constituents, they wrote. A spokesperson for Deep told The Independent that it could not comment on Topkis's case because the court has ordered that its record be sealed. It's ridiculous. According to the CT Insider, the state's bear population has boomed in recent years. We talked about that article. And this has caused controversy over whether the state should allow a bear hunt to cull the animal's numbers. Gee, do you think? Topkis, who moved to Connecticut from Florida about a year ago. See, in Florida, they would have let him shoot the bear, and they would have given him a medal for it. This is ridiculous. He said the incident occurred last August. He was taking an evening nap after coming home from work and suddenly heard his wife yelling. Grabbing his pistol, he found that a black bear had wandered into the family's garage with his 3-year-old daughter and 10-year-old stepson. They were playing there. While Topkis' wife grabbed the kids, the bear went after a garbage bag before apparently going outside, where he was chased up a tree by his Belgian Shepherd dog. Topkis then tried to scare the bear off with a warning shot, eventually causing it to climb down and run off into the forest. A neighbor heard the noise and called the police, who arrested Topkis on charges of negligent discharge of a firearm and breach of the peace. The next day, he found the bear dead in a ditch nearby, ultimately leading the state's Environmental Conservation Police, part of DEEP, to charge him with its death. So DEEP is the one even behind some of this charging of him. Just unbelievable. In Alaska, this happens so much that if you're in city limits, you might get a temporary charge against you, but once they investigate it, it goes away, which I don't think is that great either. So just unbelievable. And Chris said the state passed a law allowing people to shoot bears when they endanger people's lives or property, but that law did not help this guy who just got arrested. So he wrote a letter to his governor in Ledmont expressing my displeasure with how this incident was handled by the state. I have not heard back from him, and I don't expect to. Although he is normally a fairly reasonable moderate, he counts on the lunatic fringe for votes. Last year, a little kid was attacked by a black bear in neighboring Armonk, New York, which sent the kid to the ER. When the police arrived, the bear was still there lurking around and refused to leave. So they finally shot it. Sound like that bear was looking for a meal? I say. So it's just stunning. Comments from people wrote to the local paper were expressing anger about the situation and saying the bear was shot, saying the bear was just doing what bears do and should have been left alone. Yeah, he was trying to, he could have eaten a little kid. So just ridiculous. And like I said, you know, this narrative is pushed by the media for bear spray only when if you look at ammoland.com and the extensive study they did, it proved that firearms and pistols in particular have been successful in thwarting bear attacks. So thank you for tuning in. I'll have another video on this subject up next Friday. I'll have another video up tomorrow morning, and I appreciate you guys. It's Chuke, your friend in the field.
My name is Chuke. I like to trade my guns just for fun, but now I have none. Oh, look, get shot by a bear, but I don't care. I got a 10mm. Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Watch you all die every time.